Hey guys, I'm pretty tired. It's past my bedtime, but I wanted to go ahead and get this done because I need to make just one more video in this last. I feel stupid because I can't figure out what is wrong with my budget series, and I just wanted to get it over with so that tomorrow I can wake up and start actually working on some stuff that's actually fun, like some Halloween stuff or whatever. I'm not sure if staying up this late past my bedtime instead of just doing it in the morning is healthy, but whatever, I'm doing it. Alright, so I did not make it. I went to sleep, but I'm gonna try to get this done, hopefully before the day is over. Okay, so just to recap, this has been a video series of me trying to walk you through the process of me trying to figure out a problem I was having with my monthly budget for the month of August, and also walking you through the process of me trying to make the video series itself. In doing this, I was able to give real-life examples of why I struggle with feelings of stupidity, so that I can get some opinions on whether or not I seem like I'm stupid to other people. And as a side bonus, I ended up giving some real-world examples of how having OCPD or OCPD-like symptoms affects me as well. And if you haven't watched the other videos in the series and you don't want to go back and watch them, all you need to know is that the amount of money I had at the end of the month when I was drawing up the budget ended up being a lot more than what I should have had based on the amount of money I gained over the month, according to the budget. And I couldn't figure out why. And finally, 7 videos later and a month and a week in, I think I finally figured it out. So I'm going to tell you what the problem ended up being and how I figured it out and how I went about finally wrapping everything up once I figured it out. And I want you to let me know if you think it took me like an abnormally long time to figure out this problem, or like if you think it should have just been more obvious to me, because I do feel really stupid for struggling so much with this and because it took me so long, but I don't really have anybody else to kind of compare my experiences with and to know if I'm really struggling more than others. So in my last video, I talked about how I had been trying to figure out this problem for so long and I still couldn't figure it out, and how I should probably just move on and forget about it because it was keeping me from doing other things and wasn't really as important as I was making it out to be. So I decided to start the new budget for this month with just however much money I had, and to just make sure all the income and expenses for the month of October were recorded as accurately as I could get them. And I had like my receipts and everything kind of strewn across my desk during the time I was trying to figure this out, and everything was kind of chaotic, so I wanted to go back and check my receipts and my bank accounts just to make sure I had plugged everything in correctly. And while I was checking my bank account, I kind of realized what the problem was by accident. I'm really tired of doing this, and I just really want it to be over, but I feel like I just keep getting slower and slower. Okay, so anyway, when I was looking at my savings account to make sure all that info was correct, I noticed that I had made a withdrawal of $570 during August, and I don't know if I like saw that before and I just didn't compute that could have been the problem, or if it did compute and I was like, maybe that caused it, but I just couldn't like put together how that would have caused it, or maybe I just didn't notice that I had made a withdrawal with all, so I didn't even consider that could have been a problem. I'm not sure, but I noticed it this time and I was like, wait. And again, I don't think I saw that I made a withdrawal and I was just like, oh, that's the problem and this is why that's the problem, oh duh, haha. I feel like it was still difficult. Like I saw that there was a withdrawal and I was like, like maybe I need to look into this because I don't think I really considered that as a serious option. And I thought about it a little bit and I was like, yeah, this is where this whole problem came from. This is way too close, but it's a lot more comfortable to have the computer close up like that when I need to do stuff on the computer sometimes during the videos. Alright, so I realized that if I had made a withdrawal from my savings account, that money would have then been put into my income. See, I just worked this whole thing out yesterday and I figured out like why it was causing the problem and everything, and now I'm just like, I don't know, I completely forgot how that was related to me having more money than like I should have had. Okay, so I was counting up all the money that I have, okay, and then I took like 500 whatever dollars out of my savings, which would have then put it in my income. I don't understand this because then it's still all just money that I have. I don't understand why it would matter where the money was being like stored. I'm looking at my budget right now. Okay, so I kind of changed how I was doing my budget so that I wouldn't have that problem again, where if I withdrew something from my savings, I wasn't considering it. So, yeah, I have where I put my income, then I have where I put my expenses, and, money, like interest from my savings account. I used to count that as income that I was getting, but since it's like the interest I get from my savings is meant to stay in savings, it's not really money I should be considering as spending money. I stopped adding it as an income, but I put it back up here so I can just kind of keep track of how much I was making, just so when I add like all my money up at the end, the money from my savings, cash, and checking, like that's included. But whenever it adds up like all my income, it doesn't. It adds up everything except for the savings interest. And then down here, it adds. Okay, so the total amount of money I accumulated during this month in my savings account includes the interest that I made and any money that I took out of my paycheck and put into my savings for that month. And then it subtracts anything that I withdrew from my savings. Oh, okay, so if I took $570 out of my savings account, that means that this money was then put into my income, which means that I would. I'm so confused. Like, I don't know why I can't just figure this out. Now I'm like convincing myself that this isn't actually the solution to the problem and that this wouldn't have any effect on how much money I have in all three of these. So if I took this out of my savings and put it into my income, that would mean that, like, let's say I started with $1,000 in my savings, and then I took, just to simplify things, let's say I took $100 out of my savings, and then I put that into my income. And let's say I had $1,000 in income, and now I have $1,100 in income. And then let's say, because my bank account would adjust it to where it showed that I took that $100 out of my savings, so it would say that I had $900 in savings and $1,100 in my interest, or my checking account. So if I added all that up, it already kind of accounts for that, right? Okay, but just because my savings account is going to tell me how much I have after I take out that $100 doesn't mean that that's going to reflect on this budget, because I'm making this budget. So if I take $100 out of my savings account, I need to put on this budget that I took out $100. Yeah, so if I'm starting, the month with $1,000 in my savings account, and then I add whatever I put into my savings account to that $1,000, it's not going to account for how much I took out from the savings account. So on this budget, it's how much I started with plus how much I put in minus how much I took out, so I can know how much I had. So the budget's going to say I had this much, and then I just need to check it with what I actually have in my savings account to see if everything adds up and is correct. So that could cause a problem if I didn't take that out, because then it would say that, like, I started with 1,000 and then I put in like 100, and it'll say that I should have $1,100 now. But if I started with 1,000 and I put in 100, but then I took out 100 at some point, it would only be 1,000. So that would cause a problem, right? I still don't think that really explains what my original problem was, though. Okay, so let's say I started the month with $1,000, and then I made $100, and I added what I started with plus what I made. I should have $1,100, right? But, well, that's what I would have in my. Okay, let's say I had 1,000 in checking and 1,000 in savings. So that would mean I had 2,000 to start the month with. And then let's say I made $200. That means I should now have $1,200 total. But if I withdrew $100 from my savings at some point, I still don't understand why. Okay, so I had 2,000 in everything, cash, checking, and savings. And then I made $200. So now I have $1,200. And then I go back and I count, everything, all my cash, checking, and savings. And now I have more than $1,200. How would withdrawing $200 from my savings make that happen? Guys, I don't know. I'm so confused, and I do feel really dumb because I can't figure this out. I mean, I just had this thought yesterday, and I figured it out, and I, added all this new stuff to my budget, adding how much I withdrew, and, all this so that, that wouldn't be a problem in the future, and now I'm, like, convincing myself that it wasn't even a problem to begin with, and that's not even what the problem was. Like, oh my god, Usually I would have just continued to try and figure this out. I would have sat here and thought and thought and thought. It might have taken me several hours or days. I would have just stressed myself out, like, to the extreme, trying to figure this out. But I don't think that's really the healthy thing for me to do at this point. I've made 7 videos trying to explain this. I've been trying to figure this out for over a month now. And there's other things I want to be doing. I don't want to sit here and spend the entire month of October dealing with numbers. I'm burnt out on it. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to go carve a pumpkin or figure out if there's some party, Halloween party or something I can go to. I want to do something that's fun and that I'll enjoy doing, and that, maybe I'll be really good at carving a pumpkin, and, yeah, I don't know. I'm just tired of doing this. I want to do something that I'll be more happy doing, I guess. And I don't guess it's really that important to figure it out. Just, I put a note down here saying that, I had a bit of a problem with this budget, I think because forgot to account for withdrawing cash from savings. I'm not sure if that's true anymore, but that's what I thought at the time. Income and expenses should be correct because, again, I counted all my receipts, I counted everything that's in my income and expenses, and it all seemed right, so I guess there's not a discrepancy there that I can tell. Just not sure if total amount of money going to next month is correct, but we established in the last video I made that might not be so important. I just need to, there wasn't any evidence of any, like, money being lost. As I said, I had more money than what, the budget was saying that I should have, so it's not like I lost money. And when I look at my, bank account, it doesn't look like, there was any major problem with, money going somewhere it shouldn't go or something, so it's not like anything major happened. I just need to start over, count how much money I have now, maybe try this new withdrawing and interest thing that I added in. I think I might, add a separate column for cash as well, so that way I can always make sure how much cash I had, so that way if I forget to stash some in a folder somewhere, which in a previous video I also kind of talked about, that kind of happened. I don't know if that was part of the problem. I can always make sure I remember how much money I had taken out at the beginning of the month, so I know, based on what I spent, how much cash I should have left. So let's just leave it as it is. I think all the income and expenses are right, which is, really the important thing, so in the future I can make sure that I'm just making the right estimations on what I think I'm going to spend, so I can prepare for that. Let's count up all the money I have now for what I'm going into the next month, or this month with. It's still pretty early, I think I can do one for this month, and just try to prevent all this from happening again, because I'm just so tired. And I'm also still going to go back to the September month and plug in the income and expenses for that month, just so I have those estimations too. I'm not going to bother putting in, like, the estimations of what I am planning to spend, because it wouldn't really be useful. As a side note, this is just another, kind of symptom, I guess, of OCPD, is that I really usually would have wanted to go back and put in the estimations, the budgeted amount, just because all the other budgets have it, and I would feel, like, really weird about having one budget where that column is just left blank, and I really want to do it and fill it in, even though it's not useful or practical to do so, but I'm trying not to do that anymore, because it's just really wasting time. And this video, I feel like I've just been rambling, and this video's gone on long enough. This video didn't turn out how I wanted it to be, because I couldn't figure out, any of this stuff, so sorry about that, I guess. But again, it explains why I feel like I am dumb. And please leave, some comments if you think that it does seem like I'm struggling, and, like, I'm having a harder time than usual figuring this stuff out. If you watched all these videos and you listened to my rambling, thanks. I know it's probably not the most interesting thing, unless you're, I don't know, maybe you're out there and you, you can relate to this and you have the same trouble with your thoughts, and I don't know, maybe it's helpful for somebody. Anyway, I'm gonna just end this now so I can move on. I'm not even gonna get back on the camera. Alright, bye guys.